welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Now, Monday, 30th November 2020, which is tomorrow, up to the 4th of December 2020, will be Pro Bono Week for the Uganda Law Society. Tonight, we host members of the Uganda Law Society who, together with the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Department of Law Council, and the Democratic Governance Facility, organize annual regional Pro Bono Day celebrations to promote access to justice for all, especially the indigent, vulnerable, and marginalized. They've been doing this for the last 9 years. My guests in the studio, I'll start over there. Ms. Diana Angwech, who is the Vice President of the Uganda Law Society. Diana, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
And I must say congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
And thank you for having me.
And next to Diana is Mr. Anthony Asimwe, who is the Manager, Pro Bono Project. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. And well, just to start us off, I know we're having this conversation on TV and this is our prime time hour, but my understanding of the goal of the scheme is to ensure indigent, vulnerable, and marginalized persons access quality justice. How do you ensure that information reaches these people who might not have access to a TV set, for example, perhaps a radio, and might not even have an understanding of how the justice system works and how your legal services work?
I think you limited it when you said no access to radio, but I think most of our work happens through what we call advertising. So we do a lot of teaching on radios, and we go out to the communities themselves and talk about their people's rights and what they can do. We also have a lot of programs which involve scheming paralegals who do more than just giving legal advice. They go again to the community. And again, TV can never be underestimated. I think we have also recently introduced what we call a toll-free line. So in case anybody hears us on any radio or on any platform, they can call our toll-free line and we will provide the advice there and then.
All right. When you speak about the door-to-door, I think that's quite interesting for me at this point. How spread out is the Uganda Law Society and other partners to ensure that you reach as many people as possible?
Currently, we have 22 clinics spread out all over the country. So we have a lot of clinics which are funded by a number of our donors. And we have clinics we have 22 clinics, like I've said. We have them all over regions. So we have some in the west, in the east, in the north and the greater northern region, and all these clinics support different things. So as particularly where it's grave in the northwest, I think we do gender-based violence. So we have about a number of clinics there that are tackling that issue. In the north, I think that's not northwest. So I think I'm confusing northwest and northeast. So that was Bank Northeast, and then northwest, which is Arua. We do a lot of refugee projects there, and we handle a lot of refugee claims that are around that side. And then access to justice for us is concentrated a lot in the east and in the west, and a lot in Kampala, where you find majority of our cases.
All right. Thanks, Diana. Anthony, just to bring you in, managing this project, what have you seen in the last 9 years that this has, been rolled out? What have you seen as the key issues that people usually come forward with? Okay. What stands out? All
right. I think the biggest problem we have in Uganda is land conflicts, land and succession. And like Diana has explained, that we have about 22 clinics across the country in all regions. When you look at the statistics, we have about 92% of the cases we handle land together with the law succession, because usually succession matters touch land. People don't fight for clothes. When someone passes on, they fight for land. So it's mainly land cases. And we've also had a number of, since COVID came up, we're getting employment cases, quite a number of them. It seems people are being chased away from work and they're not getting reasons. That's why they're being chased away. So the number is increasing currently, but it's generally around land. Yeah. All
right. When Dana mentioned gender-based violence, then I remember that that's not usually a thing that people are quick to report. So, but land makes a lot of sense. When you speak about going door to door and also your clinics that are going to operate for the next 1 week, and also the activities that you're going to be doing, I'm thinking about the Ministry of Health SOPs on, washing hands, maintaining social distancing, and the gatherings, maintaining the numbers. How are we planning for that?
Okay. You've seen, like you said, you've done this for the last 9 years. This is the 10th.
In the last 9 years, you did not have COVID.
This is
Yeah, we didn't have COVID.
and this is the
The
10th.
beauty of COVID.
This is the 10th annual pro bono week. Now, much as we have these clinics across the country, we usually have that day, that week, we set aside for all the membership, the lawyers to participate in giving back to society. All of us, most people know that if I need to go see a lawyer, I need to have money. I need to go to enter someone's chambers, I have to pay to see them. But during this week, the pro bono week, is when each and every advocate, every lawyer in the country has a chance to give back to society, and every society member has a problem. As long as someone falls within the category of you're indigent, marginalized, or poor, you can choose even the lawyer you want to go talk to. Now, usually what has been happening is we gather in one particular place, and then we expect the public to come and reach out to the lawyers who are present. But the difference now, because of the COVID, you're talking about the SOPs, this 10th annual pro bono week is going to be done differently. That's why you have activities spread throughout the week in different places where we ensure that we have few numbers of people, and even though we are conducting them is different. We chose to now find people where they are already in their setting organized. For example, if you go to the market, you realize we have like market outreaches and mobile clinics. We don't expect people to move from their stores and crowd. We just go set up, I'll call it an office, a desk there. We sit there the whole day. We have advocates, of course, spaced with the required distance. And any person who has an issue can approach the desk. Of course, in those areas, already have standards in place. They wash hands before they enter. They have sanitizers. And of course, we are calling upon people to ensure that they have their masks on. And similarly, when we are doing the prison decongestion, which is one of the other activities we are doing, the plea bargain sessions, we are also working under a system which is already organized and arranged. They're already following procedures. That's why we are not creating a situation where we have to call people from different places. We are finding them where they are, ensuring that we follow all the SOPs in place.
Okay. Well, just a quick question on the target group, and you speak about the indigent, the vulnerable, and the marginalized. How do you determine that someone falls into this particular category and therefore qualifies? And if I do not qualify, so if I, for example, walked up to Diana, who I've known through school, and I said, Diana, it is pro bono week, you must help me, and I do not qualify, what is the response?
We have, I think every legal aid service provider has what we call a means and a merit test at the end of the day. So there is usually a form that will take you through questions that would decide for you which bracket you fall in. So we'll take you through questions, ask you things with regard to your salary, your last salary, your current status, where you fall, and all these things will determine for us whether you are indigent or not. This is also unique. That happens on an ordinary day. But this week is unique because it's more of advice given on the dot at that particular time. So anybody who comes in at that point in time, of course, when we target and advertise pro bono, we go down to the people who we think are more likely to be marginalized and vulnerable. So you'll find that most of our adverts and the people we are calling at that point should be people who ordinarily would meet the test. So if you come during the week, because you're getting on-spot advice, we will give you the advice that you need.
Even if I do not qualify?
Even if you don't qualify. But however, if you do qualify, because we take down case intakes that day, what we call case intakes, so we take down your details and everything. So we'll run it through our system again, and then we'll do a follow-up with you. And if we find that you qualify for our pro bono scheme, then we will take you on and follow up your case in that particular respect. But ordinarily, you go through the means and merit test, and then we go through that process and provide you what we call a pro bono lawyer, because the Secretariat is just able to run for you, to take you through the process, and then we'll allocate you to a lawyer who will help you with your case. All
right, I'm going to come back to something you touched on there, but before I do, you spoke about what the SOPs that you're trying to follow throughout this period, and one of the things that's coming up now is ICT, and I'm trying to see if the Uganda Law Society as well has put things like that in place. Can't I just get the support on phone, for example, before I even come through? Do we have to have people present at the places, where your clinics are? And again, maybe perhaps I'm thinking about a different category of people, but I guess there are people who would be able to make the phone call, or any other way that you're thinking you could do this?
The society has been very progressive in terms of ICT. I think we have done a bit, and there's still a lot more room to improve. Ordinarily, if you call in, we have what we call an information voice recorder, I suppose, and you will be able to, when you call in, you will get you'll hear a detailed, you'll hear what we call a detailed run through of any single thing that you most likely will face. So you'll hear them talking about land, you'll hear talking about, again, domestic violence, you'll hear them talking about different things that ordinarily occur in this area. So when you call in, instead of hearing a tone that you're used to hearing, or maybe a song, you're going to hear something like that, and it will help you pick interest, and you will have yourself, you'll have an answer. Also, you're going to receive people on the other side who will give you direct advice. I think that's one of the things that the society has implemented to ensure that when you call in, you'll get direct advice on phone, but also you'll hear that. Another thing that we launched, I think, a year or so ago was what we call the Polidawo app. So the Polidawo app allows anyone who's indigent to, if you have, again, that's the technicality.
A cell phone, yes.
Yeah, you're able to log onto an app and then ask for help on particular things, and we will be able to help you there and then, or we will be able to take you through the process so that you're able to have a lawyer at the end of the day. We, again, because of COVID, you have so many things that are happening. So even lawyers have been affected. So even our programs are happening on Zoom. Some of them have had to happen on Zoom webinar calls, where ordinarily instead of having a training, which we would meet physically and have, some of it has had to happen online. And I think that's progressive in the sense that where our laws require that we meet physically, finally our what we call the Law Council allowed us to hold it online. So okay. I think in that sense we have been progressive, and we are onboarding a lot of things to make it easier for everybody.
All right.
Can
yes,
I add
sure.
on? In addition to what Dan has explained, she talked about the IVR. We used to have most of our clients as walk-ins.
And when you say IVR, you have to say it in full for the rest of us who are not part of the society.
Oh, I understand. The interactive voice recording.
Okay.
Now, before COVID, people used to walk in. The biggest number of clients used to have walk-in clients who just walk into our offices. But because we had to close at some point, we had to popularize more of these initiatives. So on the interactive voice recording, even if someone wants to talk to a lawyer, and you call in and you get that information, you can even have you make a selection of, if you want to choose a lawyer, they give you an option, and they give you a lawyer to talk to and explain to whatever you want.
Pro bono.
Yes, pro bono. And I we also have toll-free lines where clients have been calling in, and since COVID came, now we receive more of phone calls than actually physical appearances. So those are the initiatives we've had in place going ICT to also try and manage the situation, really.
All right, we're going to have your toll-free numbers running on the screen in the event that people want to reach out for some pro bono support from the Uganda Law Society. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. Back. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center and TV Uganda studios, and tonight we're speaking about access to justice through pro bono. My guests in the studio, Vice President Uganda Law Society Diana Ngwech, and Mr. Anthony Esimwe, the manager of Pro Bono Project. How have you fared in the last 9 years? What's the track record of cases supported? Where have you made a difference? The Pro Bono project started 9 years, and this is 9 years ago. And as you're aware, most lawyers go to school because they expect to go and work and get money. Now, it has been hard to explain to a lawyer that, okay.
Yeah, to tell a lawyer that, we're giving you this client and you're going to help them for free. Because as of now, it's not yet mandatory, it's optional. So lawyers choose whether to do pro bono or not. So much as we know, we have regulations that will be coming up to ensure that every lawyer at least does offers a free service or some hours during a year. It's not yet mandatory. But from out of 3,000, the membership of ULS, right now we have about 1,876 who have enrolled in the scheme, and they're willing to offer free services to clients. And we have a client base of about 3,500 clients who are currently in the system receiving pro bono services. As you know, court cases usually take long. They don't end in one day. So when we enroll a client in pro bono and we allocate a file to a lawyer out there, they have to work on that client until the case has ended, and then they return the file. So we keep getting new people, and the numbers are increasing because the need is high. And we are lucky that we have also lawyers appreciating the concept that they should give back to society.
In this particular week that you've been holding every year, how have you fared?
In the week, we've had a number of people increase, the people who come to us seeking services, seeking for pro bono services, and also the interest lawyers have picked, because it would not make sense to go there out and you call upon people, about 5,000 people come and they have 2 lawyers. So, and we've been able to achieve our objective, because we realize usually after the week, the pro bono week, we see more clients working, have issues and they need help. There's also this kind of awareness where there are certain things people can even go and help themselves on simple matters. So they get that exposure, they get that knowledge, and our objective basically is achieved, and it's been progressively.
Where have you been effective, if I may use that word? Prisons or land cases, like you say, the majority. Where have you been most effective, where you can point a finger and proudly say, in the last 9 years, we have done this much in this area?
I think we've been effective in legal representation in court. And in this last 9 years, we've had quite a number of cases concluded in court, land cases where we have lawyers representing people, and prisons as well. We've had to come in and work with the judiciary to do activities like plea bargain sessions, where we're having quite a number of people have their matters handled on plea bargain, where you negotiate with the state on the sentences, and people are serving and getting out of prison, other than staying in prison, and they don't even know where their trial is going to come up.
Right. Dana, Anthony mentions plea bargain, and I wanted to find out, when you say provision of free legal services, what exactly does that entail?
So I think, in addition to what Anthony has just said, is that there is what we call pro bono regulations, and now, as of next year, it will be mandatory for every lawyer to give pro bono about 48 hours.
Yes, I was going to ask, doesn't every lawyer have pro bono hours that they're supposed to fill? When I was shocked that there are quite a number who are not interested.
So you see, because the regulations had not been operationalized until recently, lawyers just gave because they were called upon to do so. And now that the Law Council has operationalized those particular regulations, every lawyer is now required to give at least 48 hours of pro bono. And I think that Law Society...
48 hours in a year?
It's 48 hours in a year. It's 48 hours in a year. So that it seems a lot to you.
It seems very little.
No. I think, Josephine, if you count it, how many hours do you have in a day? How many hours do you have in a year? Like
48 hours is two days in a year, in 365 days. But all right.
You're spread across 3,500 to 200 members. Imagine each of them giving you 48 hours.
Imagine the population of this country, over 46 million.
I think you also are putting a huge burden on lawyers, because at the end of the day, they have to give what they have. And I think that's something that we must applaud, again, the legal system for doing, because we each know that everybody needs a lawyer. And the question is, how many of us can afford lawyers, including lawyers? So I think it's a good thing that pro bono has now come into place. My question was, what does provision of free legal services mean? So what are you giving the people when they come? Is it just counsel? Is it, what are you doing when they come? So it's really a range of services. You can give advice on spot, because some things are simple. I can just need to point you to a particular institution that can help you, connect you to a different place. So, and that's the beauty about Pro Bono Week, is that for the first time, you can meet a number of lawyers who give you on-the-spot advice, and it might be just a simple matter. And so that's one of the things that we do during the week. The second one is what we call, and we have mentioned it, representation before court. Now, if you have an ongoing court matter, or your matter cannot be settled at mediation or arbitration, because that is now compulsory in our system to have that. If it can't be settled at that level, we'll also offer you, we'll become mediators, and some people who are certified arbitrators will become arbitrators for you if they can, depending on a number of things. And if that is not satisfied, of course, and you move on to court, you'll have us help. We'll help you, represent you before courts of law. And I think it's just really a range of activities. So you have advice, you have mediation, you have arbitrators, you have court representation. All this can be available to you.
Is this service time bound? So does it end in the week, or do you follow up my case way past the week for as long as it takes and it's still pro bono?
Of course, as long as you keep calm. If you come and you meet the test, like I said, then you automatically enter into our system and we'll help you all the way. So that's really credit, of course, to our donors at the end of the day, because they're able to support the project and allow it to grow at the end of the day. So yes, in case you have court representation, we will definitely give you the full service to the end.
You know, you have to pay a lot every time they show up for a court session or transportation or all of that. So that's all covered.
Which lawyers do you meet?
I was going to ask who pays for it, and you said the donors who are particularly attached to this.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens if I lose the case? Do I still get pro bono services to help me appeal?
Yes, of course, you get pro bono service to help you appeal. But I think I will defer particularly to Tony on this particular part. Yeah.
All right. I'll first go back to you asked about the services under pro bono, and then as well explained properly the services we offer, court representation and all that. But there's one other important service people usually leave out, and under pro bono we do that, and this is awareness campaign. It's not when you're arrested for having committed an offense and you say I didn't know, they will tell you ignorance is no defense. They will still put you in. So we realized in the last 9 years that what happens, some people find themselves in trouble because they're not aware, they don't know. So we're having things like radio talk shows, TV talk shows, just sensitizing the public about these simple laws which they can know and grasp. And someone knows if this happens, maybe I'm breaking the law, I can get help from here and here, or I can do this and that. So that's one other service we're doing under pro bono, making the public aware. Like I told you, we have quite a number of cases, like domestic violence, for example. Some people do certain things when they do not know they're actually committing offenses. When you look at the Domestic Violence Act we have.
I don't know why you're using domestic violence.
It's the
That's a bit
example
tricky to use. Let's use land, because domestic violence, I don't see how you beat someone and say I didn't know. So
you know that we have a culture where people say that if he beats me, he loves me.
That's very, in my head it
some
doesn't.
people who don't know.
Let's use, for example, land. I think it's safer.
Okay.
That if I encroach a little bit, you know, and I didn't know that perhaps my border was here.
Okay,
is that
maybe if you want me to use land, I'll take you to succession. You go to some communities and they tell you that a girl is not entitled to a share of the property when the father passes on. And you find you are sensitizing the public, and you tell people and they're like, oh, you mean even girls are supposed to get?
Yeah.
Because some of them are not aware, and they deny them because they're not aware. But the reason I was using domestic violence is because of what, you know, how wide
Tradition.
it is, and certain things. Someone will not know that there's emotional violence. Like if I decide to enter the house and I keep quiet and I don't talk to my wife, then I'm torturing her psychologically, and it's violence. So people are not aware, and when you look at some of those laws and other new laws that come up, so we are laboring to sensitize the public so that they're aware, and that's a service we're offering. Now, you asked about...
So at a point, you're also counselors in this regard?
I think that's the nature and the unique thing about legal aid at the end of the day. If you have worked in any legal aid service, you're going to receive the most marginalized and vulnerable. And when they come to you, they come in with distress. And their first thing is not that you're going to give them a legal answer. You're going to calm them down, you're going to walk them through, and anybody who has been to court for the first time knows that court is really a daunting place. The judge is seated far up there, the lawyers are standing in different places, draped in different
You're all
things.
wearing suits and intimidating.
And gowns and flaps and the different things. So legal aid is unique in the sense that you actually sometimes act as a counselor at the end of the day, because someone's going to come distressed. They have been thrown off their property and they don't know what to do. These are women and children. What do you do with them? Sometimes people come distressed. They have been bitten. What do you do with someone who has been bitten? Say, now we go to court, now we do this. People come with divorce matters, custody matters. All these things are very humanitarian at the end of the day. So you meet the human first before you actually offer legal aid at the end of the day.
Are the lawyers trained, or do they go through a counseling course or something like that, you know, in your education process to be able to handle, because not everybody is empathetic, not everybody is going to meet the indigent, the vulnerable, or any other, you know, person and just know how to immediately respond without making a bad situation worse.
Okay. So in LDC, where we all have to go through, we have a legal aid week where they actually teach you and train you in this particular aspect. Is it intense? Is it emphasized? No. At the end of the day, not really. But what Law Society does particularly is that you don't meet a lawyer and they send you right into pro bono. You meet people who actually talk to you first, calm you down, explain the process to you, and then explain that they're going to allocate you to a lawyer. Even when they're onboarding you with a lawyer, they will sit with you, have a conversation, and explain how it's transitioning from one place to the other, so you are comfortable and you feel safe in the hands of the lawyer that they have given you. And even in that we monitor in such a way that if you are dissatisfied with the lawyer that you're given, you can always come back to the Law Society, and we will help you and give you better service at the end of the day.
All right. Pro bono.
Josephine, I'll also, in addition to what she just said, you realize most of the clients we get, some of them have psychological issues and others need more than just legal counseling. And because this is the work we do, we've had in place some programs for capacity building where we develop the capacity of our staff. They get extra training about on issues of how to handle such clients. So these guys are actually trained. And earlier you asked about the whether after this week we'll continue representing these clients or what happens. And my understanding is for how long are you going to handle this? Or you also asked about payment. What happens is when we take on a client under the pro bono scheme, they do not have to pay even a single coin. But like your worry, or what I think you're headed to, these things require money. Like you're filing a case in court, it requires money. A lawyer has to go to court, they need transport. And all those things that require financing. We have the donors, specifically this one is funded by DGF, that's a Democratic Governance Facility. And when you take on a client, a file, and you allocate it to a lawyer, we have the facilitation for every detail, be it filing, be it transport for the advocate, be it airtime and anything, so that the client does not have to pay even a coin for that. And if a case ends and it's not in the client's favor, and the file is returned and reviewed and realize this is a file that should go on appeal because we feel it has not been handled properly and the client has a right of appeal, we can still proceed with that under pro bono. We still represent that client and get the necessary remedies at an appeal level.
We've known some cases to take a really long time. So does that, you carry us through that whole period?
Even if it's 5 years, we do.
Don't just say 5 years, because it could be 10 years. Yeah. Let's take another short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, the NTV Uganda studios. And tonight we are talking about access to justice through pro bono. There's a lot of frustration for a lot of people that I've spoken to that have interfaced with the justice system. You know, corruption, the length of time it takes for cases to you know, be completed, you know, the case backlog and all of that. There's a lot of mistrust of the legal process. How do you intend, maybe not even for Justice Week, but in the long run, to engage people to trust the system?
Wow, that's a really loaded question because as you laid out the question, the thing on my mind was, why do we actually have those problems at the end of the day? And case backlog, cases taking long, that really can be attributed to the number of judges that we actually have at the end of the day. The number of judges we have as compared to the population is quite small. And no matter how we look at it, you having a judge having 300 cases a month, ask yourself, is that possible for a single human being to adjudicate with the normal work hours, to listen to all those cases, listen to all those witnesses, write judgments, do the research, and deliver to you good judgment at the end of the day? So I'm thinking about that even as you ask those questions, is where do we have the problem? How can we address the problem? I think we all have to collectively address the problem. And when you say a number of people, I wonder who those people are. Who have actually
there are things we don't, you know, hide under the rug. We know that there are a lot of cases of corruption. We know that there's so many things that are out there for all of us. For many people that have accessed the courts of law, have gone through this process, give testimony to these stories. Yeah, we see cases disappearing. We see so many things. So, and I'm not putting you on the spot over that, and I just want to understand what you plan to do for the mistrust that people have. How do you plan to, you know, get people to understand that we can actually do something to help you?
That's a high calling in so many ways, because mistrust is really about either you have experienced it or you've had people talk about it at the end of the day. The most we can do is educate you about the system and the court processes. I think the second thing we can do, which we are lobbying as Law Society, is to simplify a lot of court processes at the end of the day so that people can understand. You're not meeting so many people along the way to get your justice, but you maybe have to simplify this by, especially for Bono Day, when we invite the judiciary to come and be a part of it. So we allow judges to be a part and mix with the actual population, so that they are not seen as people who wear wigs and they're high up there with nothing for them to do.
And but magistrates as well.
Them. Yes, but you do humanize them in such a way that they're able to speak to people. I think also the judiciary has gone a long way in having open day at court, for them to speak to the people and educate people on the processes, on what to do and how to function. They have also, I guess, put up the signposts at court and and how you can go around the systems. But particularly Law Society, one of the things we're looking to do in this particular session is to have an interaction between the lawyers and the judges and the bench, what we call the bar and the bench forum, where we can actually iron out where is the problem. Where is the problem? How can we rid this place from corruption? How can we deliver justice at the end of the day? Lengthy processes, so many things are there and we understand them. But the best we can do is open up channels to talk, and then once we find where the problem is, to weed them out at the end of the day.
All right.
And in addition to what Dana said, we've had some initiatives to try and curb the problem. You mentioned the length of time some of these cases take. Even us at Uganda Law Society and Legal Aid in particular have now a policy. If someone comes and they have a case, we don't just go straight to court. We first try out-of-court settlements. Even when you go to court now, there's court annex mediation. And if you look at the statistics, I don't have them off head, but quite a number of cases have been resolved at that level without someone going through that lengthy process. That is why I actually opted to even do the plea bargain session during this week. You realize everyone is supposed to have legal representation for you to have to be in court and proceed, especially when you look at capital offenses. But because that not everyone can afford a lawyer, you find the cases are there dragging and waiting for lawyers. So what we are doing is we come in and if you agree with the judicial officers and the state and the accused person, and you agree, negotiate on a sentence, and that is out of the way. So in a way, we are solving that problem.
All right. When we speak about the Pro Bono Week, what does it entail? Are you just looking at petty crimes, or are you also considering the major offenses?
We are not. We are looking at all the kind of offenses, the cases, both petty crimes if it is on the criminal part of it, and the capital offenses. That's why we're doing the plea bargain both in high court and lower court. And for the civil kind, you know, when you separate the criminal cases and the civil cases, we are also looking at all the cases, because we are not going to chase out someone because they've come with a different case we need. So we are attending to all kinds of cases.
All right. Yeah. So if someone is sitting back home and thinking, all right, so where do I find these pro bono lawyers? What is the answer to that question?
You can go.
Okay. We, like she said, we have 22 offices across the country.
Okay.
And in Kampala, our main office is in Buye, in Tinda Buye, plot 610. However, for the Pro Bono Day, in particular, that is the 4th of December, in Kampala, we're going to be stationed at LDC and at Mengo Court. LDC, I mean the Law Development Center. That is where the lawyers will be stationed that day, and that's where we shall expect to attend to working clients. And also Mengo. The reason we have different stations is because we can't afford to have many numbers. Then across the country, we have at all our stations, high court circuits. At all those stations, we have offices in Barara, Kabare, you go to Gulu, Arua, Masindi, Kabarore, Soroti, all those stations we shall have stations that day, lawyer stations at High Court circuits, where people walk and get advice. And actually that day, people will also be enlightened on the processes of if someone needs continuous assistance, where should they go and what should they follow.
All right. What is the plan for the week? What does Monday to Friday, 4th, look like?
Okay. Like we mentioned earlier, that we have quite a range of activities between Monday to Thursday. We have prison decongestion, that is plea bargain sessions, where lawyers and judicial officers and state attorneys will go to prisons where the people are detained, and they conduct those plea bargain sessions where there are negotiations between the state and the person, the accused person, and then we agree with the judicial office on the sentence. And we are hoping that we shall even have some people walk home, because you find someone has been there for about 5 months and they have been sentenced to 3 months, so that one is able to go home. So we shall have different prisons and different courts across the country. Then we shall also have the market outreaches. We shall go to different markets, like I earlier mentioned, also within the week, where we shall be stationed. We have desks, we sit there. It's also across the country. Everywhere we have offices, they go to the main markets. I mentioned in Kampala, I have Nakasero, Nakawa, and Karere, where the lawyers will be on the whole day from morning to evening attending to people. Then we shall also have those awareness sessions on the various TV and radio stations, talking to people, educating them about the various laws and what they can do. And then it will all be crowned by the Pro Bono Day, which is on the 4th. And here in Kampala, the main venue, the main event will be at LDC, where the chief guest will be the Chief Justice of Uganda. All right.
My last question, really. How do you guarantee that a free service is a quality service? There are a lot of people who think if it's for free, it might not be quality. Maybe it's not the best lawyers, or maybe they're just doing it because they're under duress. So how do you guarantee quality service?
I think that question can be asked for every single service, everyone that provides service. We have measures in place to ensure that people are giving you quality at the end of the day. The biggest thing that we do is we monitor. We monitor, we ask the client, even we call the client without the lawyer's knowledge, of course, and ask them about the service. Are you receiving services that please you? Is this something, do you think that your case is moving forward? We always monitor the client. We monitor the case from beginning to end. Like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of transitioning from the place of intake, listening at the secretariat, then going into a pro bono lawyer. So we walk you through the process. We monitor through the process how it is going. We do spot checks, even with the lawyers. And even if we find that it's not working for you, we recall the file and we administer it and give it to somebody else. At the end of the day, I think it leans a lot on people's good graces. In more ways than we can actually control, but in the best way that we can, we will monitor to ensure that both the client and the lawyer are able to get what they desire at the end of the day.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to speak with us. The Pro Bono Day shall be held on the 4th day of December 2020, like they both said, across all regions under the theme, the transformative potential of pro bono work, creating a climate for change, where advocates will converge at various court premises in their respective regions and attend to walk-in clients who are in need of legal services. If you're a walk-in client, please remember to wear a mask and, take responsibility for, yourself and the people next to you. This title that we have, the transformative potential of pro bono work, creating a climate for change, what is it really telling us?
Well, it's telling us, look, that pro bono work is transformative in nature. Pro bono work goes where other services will not go at the end of the day. And because it's transformative in nature, how can it create an opportunity? Where are the deadlocks in giving this service? What are we doing as lawyers that cause clients to not have access to justice? What are we doing as the judiciary that prevents clients from having access to justice? But also, what are the clients doing? Are they, for example, nowadays we see people going to represent themselves in court. Is that the best way? Do you understand the procedure? Okay. There are so many questions inside there. So what we're saying is what is it that causes the breakages in the system? And can we use the transformative nature of pro bono to ensure that people actually receive justice at the end of the day?
All right. Thank you, Diana. Anthony, do you want to say anything in closing, perhaps a message to the people who are listening and might need the services, or even to the lawyers who are watching and are hesitant about providing pro bono services?
Thank you very much. Maybe conclusive, I appreciate the time you've given us and allowing to host us here. But all I need to do is make a call to the people out there, beginning with the advocates, to come and take part. Doing pro bono is satisfying. It's giving back to society. And someone might not benefit in a way of getting cash, but it's paying. And it's what we are encouraging the lawyers to do. And I'll call upon everyone, the public out there, to come and participate. Let them use this opportunity. It happens once a year. It is a week. And the pro bono is just one day. Let them come and get a chance an opportunity to get a lawyer of their choice. But they should also ensure that they follow the standard procedures. Come with your mask. Don't come without a mask. And a sanitizer. But I call upon everyone.
If we can't afford a sanitizer, you're going to have them at the place, right?
They're there. We have the sanitizer at the place,
okay.
really. Yeah.
Right.
But I call upon the public to embrace the pro bono week, pro bono day, and come and get the services that we have for free.
All right. Thank you very much, Anthony. Diana, your closing remarks?
Well, I just want to say at the end of the day that pro bono is something that lawyers, it should not be a must, but it should be something that comes from your heart at the end of the day. Because as somebody said, each of us is one step away from needing a lawyer at the end of the day. And we as lawyers have not just a duty, but we should have a mandate at the end of the day to give back to society. So this is an opportunity for us to showcase what we do best, to give back in a way that we know best, and to allow people to level access to justice at the end of the day, because each vulnerable, marginalized people who are out there need us at the end of the day. And this is a good initiative, but it's also something that transforms the society that we live in, and we cannot understate that.
All right. Thank you very much, Diana. Thank you very much, Anthony, for taking the time to speak with us. That brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Don't forget, the week starts tomorrow, which is the 30th of November, and it runs up to Friday, which is the 4th of December. That brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Coming up is NTV Weekend Edition.